Can you guys hear me? Did the groundhog see its shadow today?
Man, I hate to report to everybody out there that I did see my shadow. That means you don't follow the groundhog tradition. That means I saw my shadow. It scared me. I ran back in the hole. We got 6 more weeks of winter.
I saw that one of the I forget what state it was, but one of the groundhogs died yesterday. That actually is the groundhog teller, to the groundhog. I don't know if it was New Jersey, or I don't think it was Jersey.
Yeah, I saw that post. So they said he passed 6 more weeks guaranteed of winter.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, for those that don't know the story, today is my birthday, but more importantly, it's my wife's birthday. So for anybody that's met my beautiful wife, your first question is, how in the hell did she marry me? And it's a pretty simple answer. Back in college, I was a senior. She was a freshman in college. And once I figured out that we had the same birthday, I told her that was a sign from God. And I wasn't one to turn away from signs from God. So if she thought that she didn't need to marry me, then she needed to go to church and pray about that. And that worked out well for me. So I appreciate all the love out there, everybody that's wished me and Amy a happy birthday. I came in today and had balloons and cases of Coors Light and cookie cakes. I've got a Taco Bell card game in here, all kinds of fun stuff. So just much appreciation and love to everybody out there that wished me a happy birthday for sure. But on to that, Mr. B-Dubs. Extremely special guest today. We always have the lovely, the one and only Mr. Max Day, who is doing so much. He was just helping out members of Cook organization, helping out Joe over there and Jeff, and talking about recruiting and building and all the things that are important to duplicate ourselves in this business and to reach out and touch other lives and bring them along on this journey with us. So B-Dubs, good to see you as always, my friend.
Yes.
I think you're already on site, eh?
I am on site. Yes, Chris, to answer your Facebook question, I am busy in Knoxville. We got a full schedule and excited to get some stuff knocked out in the next couple of days here. So
no, all you fine folks here, and nobody gives me a call, man.
It's just me. You're not missing out. No,
That's right.
But no, it's great to be here and super excited. I was thinking about Max and the work he's doing. A lot of, when you're starting something new, you build a lot of things in the bat cave, and then eventually they start emerging. And, I'm having the privilege of seeing that with our Quality People Insights platform. We had a great meeting yesterday that many of, I know Jeff Miller was on that call and others, Joe, I think. Just really starting to activate the use of these tech products that we're launching for the benefit of agencies. And I know a lot of what Max is doing is coming out of the bat cave, being piloted, and so good, game-changing stuff. So excited to hear it today.
Absolutely. And just the amount of growth that the Cook organization has seen, not only recently, it's been pretty explosive here recently too, but over the course of the last 12 months has been really, really exciting to see. I walked down to Brandon Ellison's office a couple weeks ago, and I could tell he was tied up. He was in his notebook. Those of you that haven't seen, Brandon's a big believer in a number 2 pencil and what I call tic-tac-toe scratch paper. It looks like a grid, but he was heavy in his notes, and he just looked up at me and said, "We got to get Cook and his team on the builders call. Got some special things going on." You guys have seen the numbers. Cook, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, just last week you had an all-time record, right?
Yes, sir. Just last week. And, the crazy part is, Todd, just going into the last 3 weeks, we broke all-time records 2 consecutive weeks. And really our 3-week average is above what our previous all-time high was just in the last 3 weeks. So averaging above that every week. So it's been pretty incredible to see. January over January, we're 114% growth year over year. And it's been pretty incredible as an organization to see. And so, yeah, man, it's been awesome. And it's because, we got these awesome guys, awesome players on our team, Elijah Crujo, Jordan Gillum, and Jared Gillum, and Balzarn and Joe Martinez, Jeff Miller, and Mark Newbauer. We just got a great group of people working hard, man.
And it's a fun group to be around too. It's one of those successes in this business that I think I can look back and say that not only are they tremendous individuals when it comes to business and growth, but the type of human beings they are second to none. Means the world to do life with people you care about and that you relate to and aspire to be like. So, Mr. Cook, I don't want to take too much of your time, buddy. I want to kick it over to you and hear what you and your awesome team have to say today. Appreciate you so much, buddy.
Man, appreciate it. Well, if any, you or Brian or Maxie, anybody's got any questions there, and you guys certainly lead us on anything you need. Certainly we'll be here. But yeah, guys, just the privilege and honor of being here on the call with you guys. My name is Chris Cook. I live here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm direct to Symmetry Financial Group. I've worked with the company now for 8 years. And so, yeah, pretty crazy, man. It's, started out here, just a dream of building a business 8 years ago. And it's been, it has been a dream. And, I'm certainly honored to be working with Symmetry Financial and putting my faith in this company. And I had 2 little boys when I started here, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old and a wife. And we prayed this was going to be it for us, just like a lot of you guys and gals are out there praying this is going to be it for you. And, I can say after 8 years of putting in hard work, we haven't arrived. We're still working hard every day to get better. But I can tell you it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? So it's just really cool, right? And it's really cool the life we get to lead, but it's all because the founders of the company laid down such a foundation for us to jump on top of and take advantage of. So appreciate you guys for that, and appreciate you, Todd, for all the stuff you do to support people, man, and uplift people. And happy birthday to you, buddy. I know I've texted you already. So
yeah, thank you, buddy.
Happy birthday to you, man. And so really want to spotlight, I've got Joe Martinez and Jeff Miller on the call today. And Joe, if you will, go ahead and take a minute to unmute yourself. But just want to spotlight first, really you, buddy. How long you been here at Symmetry? Introduce yourself, who you are, where you from, type stuff.
So Joe Martinez, direct to Mark Newbauer, then Chris Cook. I've been with Symmetry now getting close to 4 years, almost there. April will be my 4-year mark. Originally from Texas, now out in Arizona, and a little town called Bullhead City, Fort Mojave, if anyone knows, a little corner up there. Came from the restaurant business and been doing this ever since when I decided to make a change, because restaurant business is a lot of hours for, I made okay income. I was over 6 figures, but it was no time at all. So when I saw, I've always been entrepreneurial and I've owned other businesses. Every other business I've owned has completely taken all my time as well. And when I saw this system, I saw it was something that I can do one thing, right? Not to have multiple businesses to try to generate 200,000 or 300,000 for a year, right? I saw that I could do this with just this, and that was super attractive. And then to have something, right, once you get to the agency owner level, to be able to have something permanently for my family, which is huge, because I had a 401k for 20 years and I walked away with less than a year's worth of income. So I wanted some passive income.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, let's talk about that for a second here, Joe. So I'm looking over your 2020 numbers. So this is, we're looking at a couple years ago now, but really we want to look at 2020 compared to 2021 in growth, and maybe some keys for growth. And we, it's a builder's call. Hopefully you guys pick out some nuggets here that add value to you. So check these numbers out and you tell me if I got them wrong, Joe. So in 2020, your entire organization, 2020, 289,399 in volume, right?
Mm-hmm.
Entire organization, right, folks? Check this out. Flip it to 2021, folks. And I'm looking over your numbers here, Joe. In your entire hierarchy, buddy, and keep in mind, last year you guys recruited, because keep in mind, it's a builder's call. We want to keep the main thing the main thing. If you're going to build a business, you're going to have to learn how to recruit, right? He recruited 68 people in the entire year. His entire organization did in 2020. This past year, his organization recruited 278 people. If you wondered if recruiting is the key, That's like a 700% growth, right? You know what I mean? In recruiting. The cool part is check out the volume of his entire organization. Check this out, Todd, 1.51 million this past year is a total organization. They grew their company, and I think my little math is right here, by about 422%. Joe, what changed, buddy?
Recruiting. Right? Recruiting, mindset of how we recruit, why we're recruiting. I think that's always important for when we're looking at this, right? Because recruiting is the long game in it. We go out there and personally produce to make our income now, but you got to make sure today you're doing something for tomorrow, right? Because if you're not doing that, you're not building, and you're not creating the passive income. I remember the light bulb clicked on one of our conversations when we say, because Symmetry's, right, what we talk about is you can come here and find time and money, right, to work-life balance. But there's only one thing that creates time, and that's recruiting and building an agency. That's the only thing that creates time, because if not, you got to go out there and produce, right? And you're not going to find it. You'll find the income there, but if you want to find time in your business and live the Symmetry life, right? Well, I don't know where I saw somebody was talking about the Symmetry, right? Is it? I listened to a SoundCloud that my brother sent me, and it talks about living Symmetry, and the only way you do that is if you're recruiting, right? You got to, the keys got to be all the way in, right? And you have to be using the entire system, which is producing, but on the back end is you got to be the builder. And really, me and Jeff, when I found Jeff in our organization, right, that was the game changer, having a running buddy. And more than anything was we found a process, right? Because that's the word of the year for Symmetry. Is last year in January, we put a process in place to get us the numbers that we wanted, right? And Jeff will hit on that a little bit. I'm going to let him talk about the process, but that's what changed, right? We implemented something, we followed it, we were consistent, right? Because we tried the process back in 2020, and me and Jeff together, and we both stopped, right? So when you're not consistent, you don't get the results. So we'll also hit on that, but I'll let Jeff finish up on that one. Do you want to introduce yourself, Jeff?
All right. Thank you, Joe. Jeff Miller. I am direct to Joe Martinez and the Mark Newbauer, Chris Cook organization. Proud to be part of that organization for sure. But I'm here in the Phoenix area, Phoenix, Arizona. Been with Symmetry. Well, I started full-time July of 2020. So about a year and a half full-time with Symmetry. And man, just excited to be here, excited to see the growth and what's happening, and just to be on this team here. Prior to Symmetry, I owned a captive agency, did that for about 10 years, built that up in the state of Washington, became one of the fastest growing in the state of Washington after 7 years, sold that to move, because I had to sell it to move to Arizona, did it all over again 3 years later, and realized if I ever wanted to move, I'm going to have to sell again. So I started looking for something, and that's really what brought me to Symmetry, because the flexibility and the time and money is what drove me here. So that's a little bit about me.
I love it, buddy. So Joe, if you will, I've got them here if you don't, buddy, but let's brag on our man here a little bit and what Jeff has done just in his first full-time year here at Symmetry. So what was his 2020 total production for his entire team in 2020?
I think it was like 189, something like that.
Yeah, 189,000, I believe. So what did they do this past year?
Oh, that's the fun part, right? They came up right at $1 million in his organization in 1 year.
Yep. And Jeff, I've got you
super impressive. And the recruiting. Yeah.
No, sorry. I know I've got the delay here.
Go with his numbers.
Yeah. So in 2021, 984,848 APV. And, I'm not sure how many recruits he had in 2020, but this past year, his organization, 161 recruits. And Jeff, just speak to us about how recruiting is the key component and how you put a process in place to get that done.
It really is the key. I look back at my number for January of 2021, a year ago, and I did about 27,000 APB for my entire team, which 25 of that was me, right? And I remember looking at Joe and going, okay, I got in this deal because I've been in for about 6 months. And I said, Joe, we got in this, to build time and money. And, we did try, like Joe said, for about 2 months at the, I think in September, October, or October, November, somewhere in there. And we tried it for 2 months and nothing happened. We're like, well, this isn't working, right? So we both stopped and we regrouped in January of this last year. And we said, okay, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. And we started recruiting in January. We both started investing, $1,000 a month. So we were all in. So we were making sure we're doing the production to pay for that, right? Because you have to have the money to pay for that. But we were investing $1,000 a month. And I remember after 90 days, me and Joe got back together and we looked at each other and we're like, this still isn't working, right? After 90 days, and I remember Chris, you said, hey, this isn't a 90-day deal, right? Chris said, this is a long-term event. And 3 months later, I qualified for my first month of AO. And from there, because I didn't stop, right? Me and Joe kept going. And that's really the key. This business is all about being consistent, right? Over the year's time, we were both consistent. We both, we had Joe put processes in place for us, but we were both all in, right? We were both willing to invest, and we just kept the pedal to the metal. The exciting part is this year, I'm working with Max Day and the team and him coaching us. It's going to get really good this year.
That's right, buddy. And Joe, going back to you, what was your total team production this January? Because we're looking at a full year of putting together what we say is the word of the year for this year. Symmetry Financial is process, right? So for a full year, you put together a process, Joe, of $1,000 a month. But you not only did it, you taught other people on your team, unique builders, to do it with you. Show us some results. What's this January's volume compared to last January's volume in that month alone?
Right. So last year we finished January at like 34,000, the majority of it being Jeff and I, right? And I think we had 4 writers. So it was us and a few. And this January we had our record month at right around 270,000 for the month, with even record writers. We had 37 writers in our organization. We had a record new writers. We had 8 new writers for the month. So just huge explosion, right? 12 months later. And what I track, right? Because I want to live the full Symmetry system, right? And I've always tracked my personal production income and my passive income, right? Because at one point we all want to make the decision of when do we pull out of the field, right? I'm not there yet, but we're tracking it, and it's just super exciting, right? So last January was $500 in passive income. This January for me at the hierarchy at the top, right? It was right at 15,000 in passive income for the month. So it's just super exciting. We're breaking all kinds of records, and it's because we found partners like Jeff and Brian Howe and Troy Stevens, right, which are 2 key leaders already inside of our organization going for AO runs. And it's just super exciting to see now, right? But it's 12 months later of consistent work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm just going to go through here, Jeff, you or Joe or Todd, anybody's got any comments on any of this, some of the key steroids that I thought to our processes. We took to heart that relationships matter and people come first. In March, we had an in-person gathering on top of Symmetry's virtual conference because we wanted to get around people. Relationships matter, people come first. Also in September, we did the same thing again. Both, we saw tremendous growth coming out of those conferences. We also had a lake house retreat that our leadership team got to take part of, but we also formed great bonds during those times where we got to hang out together. We got a cabin here recently back in December with our leadership team, and we got to hang out together. We visited a bunch of our team out in Phoenix. We went to visit. In other words, we poured money back into our business by going to visit our people and getting to know our people, breaking bread with people, right? And that was, I thought, certainly a key ingredient. And we live by the moniker of we have fun and get stuff done. We don't want to be all about work. We want to have fun. And I think that's certainly been a positive thing. Joe or Jeff, any comments on that before I go on to the next part?
Well, I'll comment. I just think it's great how our team, right? We're working with, like you said, Jordan and Jared and Elijah and these cross-line agents. We're all part of the Cook team. But even though we're cross-line, we all work together, right? We all help each other. And that's pretty cool because with the other company that I worked with, I had other friends in there, but we weren't going to reveal our secrets, right? Because we were down the street from each other. We were our competition. But I mean, Balazar, I mean, all these different people on the agency owners on your team, we all work together, and it's pretty cool. You don't see that in a lot of businesses, and most probably.
And I'll add on that, on the engagement part, right? Because we track it, and engagement, Chris, we always looked at, right? Who was going to the meetings? How many, us as leaders, right? Any AO or key leader, or any key builder, right? How many people were we getting to events, right? So if we were doing a meeting, if I personally had 8 in my base, right? Jeff had 12 in his, and we were always tracking that engagement number because that's what we saw that made the difference, right? And then engagement, we always tracked as well in our huddle up calls, right? Like how many people in our organization are on our huddle up calls during the week that we know are plugged in, right? Because everyone needs this fuel to get you going daily. So we always did really well at tracking that, Chris. And then when we went out to visit our agents, right? How many of those agents brought somebody with them, right? So that they always knew if we were going to engage, it was because they were going to come in and put a part from them, right? Like, hey, if I'm going to go see you at a city, right, and host a meeting, bring somebody with you, right? Like get the most out of us for you was always our thought on that.
I love it, buddy. And, committed to a process. And we just, certainly this is what's working for us. We committed to a process as a bunch of builders and AOs and key leaders to 10 interviews plus a week. 10 interviews plus a week. And then we challenged other people in our organization to do 10 interviews plus a week because we realized, just like running appointments, there's certain things that equal a result. We realized, well, if we want to build a business, you got to have a certain number of people to talk to drive a result. And certainly 10 interviews a week has certainly been a battle cry, and we leaderboard that. So if you want to know where focus goes, right, you tend to grow. And so we made that a focus on how many people we're doing, and we leaderboard that each and every week. We also, Jacob Pogue said it last week, we track unique builders. Unique builders are permanent players in your organization. I'm not saying this to discourage anybody. I've learned in years of doing this business, if you're just a personal producer, you're on Robert Kiyosaki's temporary quadrant, which means if you're making temporary income, eventually you're temporary. If you're a permanent player, which is on the business owner or investor side, you become permanent and you become a permanent part of that business. And so you don't have a recruit till they have a recruit. Danny Young said it a couple of weeks ago on this call. Understand that is part of that in understanding temp versus perm. Understanding that APV is a historical document. We don't celebrate today thinking it's because of what we're doing today. Today's volume was work we did 6 months, 9 months in the past year, right? So if you see us breaking records or anything right now, it's because of all the hard work we put in over the previous 6 to 9 months. And if we don't, the pitfall, if we don't continue to recruit at that level or higher to get us there, we won't continue to grow. That's a pitfall. And, they mentioned this, and Jeff or Joe, you comment on this if you want to, guys, is a lot of you guys will put in a process, right? A lot of people will. They'll have the fortuitousness to go ahead and put in a process, putting in, say, like $1,000 a month in recruiting. And after 3 months, here's a potential pitfall. What you will do is you will tend to go around and want to receive justification for the way you think. You're not going to have anybody. Nobody's writing. You've invested $3,000 and nobody's writing. You've got nobody going. So here's what you're going to do. You're not going to seek counsel upline. You're going to start to talk to your fellow AOs that are exact same level that you are. And you're going to say, well, how's it working out for you? And they're going to say, well, this is god awful. I ain't made no money. Cook's crazy. He don't know what he's doing. I'm pretty sure he's going to run us all broke pretty soon. The key component is they're exactly where you are. Their thought process is exactly where you are. And what we understand is if you get to months 4, 5, and you get to month 6, when those conversations start to change in your organizations, those subcultures start feeding the primary culture, your organization will start to change because there's leadership there that starts having different things and like, no, we're going to push forward. Joe or Jeff, any of those conversations had?
Well, I think that's key. And I think that's one of the things that Joe and I did is we went to you, right? Because I know for me, when I started with Symmetry, I wanted to be where you're at, right? That was my goal. So you're the person that I want to take the guidance from. So when me and Joe were struggling our first 90 days, we both talked to you, and because you were where we wanted to be. And I think that's super important. And just one thing I want to add that I didn't add earlier is we talk about spending money on recruiting, but warm market recruiting, half of my business is from warm market recruiting. People trust you, right? Don't forget about people you care about, because the cool thing for me, 2 of my best friends are both key leaders on my team, and they're people that I care about. And it's just exciting that I can run with them, right? But don't forget about that warm market recruiting, because there's gold in there.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that, right, Chris, what you were hitting on the pitfall after 3 months, right? Because like Jeff said, the second time we went up to our upline, but the very first time in 2020, right, it was, we were 2.5 months into it, and we both looked at each other and said, is this working for you? Is this working for you? And we both said no, right? So we stopped, right? We looked for other avenues, and both of us justified our way of thinking, right? Didn't get the results. January last year, we both said, well, we got to do we got to do the correct actions to get the results we want. And that was making sure we only listen to our upline versus our sideline, right? And when we made that decision, right, even again, it happened again, right? March of last year, Jeff and I both looked at each other and we're like, we're $3,000 into this. What are we getting? And we're both in the same mindset. Well, no, this or that, right? But this time, the decision we made different is like, we're going to ignore those feelings and uncomfortableness, right? Because we were very uncomfortable, started, second time in, same results, but we didn't have enough time in it, right? So then we seek your advice, Chris, and it was just put your head down and continue to do it, right? If the results are coming, we started building our numbers. And then a real key too, Chris, that you taught us at the beginning of last year was we changed our interview, right? Instead of interviewing for producers and asking those kind of production questions, we asked more caring questions, right? Or digging into what's their why, what are they looking to do, right? What do they want Symmetry to do for them? Or when they watch the video, what did they really want to get out of it, right? And if you really listen to your interview, they start saying, I want the time and money, right? Or I want more time with my family, or I want to be able to build a business. I want the passive income. When you let them say those answers, right, it allows you in the interview to teach them how they can get that with Symmetry, right? And that was a huge game changer in our interview, because then from the very beginning, we taught, right, we were saying right when we were onboarding them, remember, you're not a recruit until you got to recruit. Those are the results, right? If you want the passive income, if you want to be able to build an organization here, you need to bring somebody. I just had one yesterday in my interview, says he has 3, hasn't even signed up for license coach yet, right? But he's already got 3, and he says, how can these 3 people help me in my organization? And he hasn't even started, right? I love it, but that's just the questions that we're asking in our interview have changed. So
yeah, I love it. And Todd, I'll wrap it up right here, buddy. But this is something Casey's saying on the call, and we got to challenge everybody. Are you actually hearing it? It's like, are you actually hearing? Casey says this all the time. There's 3 quadrants: recruiting, engagement, and lead distribution. One without the other is not the magic. It's all 3 together. Recruiting starts the funnel, right? You got to have people, right? You got to have people. You got to have your numbers growing. And if you're not, remember, there's a certain formula to that. But if you have recruiting and you don't have engagement, you're still not going to grow. In other words, are those people getting on Zoom sessions with you? Are they getting on conference calls? Are they plugging into Brian Williamson, Todd Spivey on the weekly call here? If they're not, guess what? They're not getting the secret sauce of the formula of Symmetry Financial. And then the last category is lead distribution. Something Casey and Brandon's very big on the national call and on the builders call each week is, are you marrying with what you're bringing in with the right expectation of taking leads? One thing Joe and Jeff has taken advantage of is a steroid to their recruiting and engagement is they have taught their people to be aggressive in lead distribution. And that has been the significant three-way. So it's recruiting, engagement, plus lead distribution. That's the key component to their massive growth. And I couldn't be more proud of you guys. And I tell you, for Val Zarn, Jordan and Jared Gillum, Elijah Carujo, Mark Newbauer, Jeff Miller, and Joe Martinez, I'm so very proud and honored to be in business with each and every one of you. And you guys are the key component because you guys took to it and did it. Way to go, guys. So.
Man, so good, guys. Appreciate you pouring in this morning too. And Cook just really summarized just everything that the founders have been punching on here lately for us all to experience explosive growth in 2022. And just for me to say it personally, guys, I got the privilege to be a fly on the wall at that lake retreat with the Cook organization, and just the amount of unity that I saw between the team, how close they were united, the drive they had to take this thing forward was something extremely impressive to me. And just want to say thank you guys for the time I got to spend with y'all.
Yep.
Appreciate you guys.
Love it, Cookie. Love it, man. Good
Love it,
stuff.
Cookie. Recruiting, engagement, leads. Man, we keep saying the same
Yeah.
thing on it.
That's the formula.
That is the formula. That is definitely the formula. Casey and I actually have to head up to Knoxville. So before we even play a video or transition to the call and let, I think B-Dubs or Spivey do some leaderboards, we just had to hop on because not only did you guys break a record this week in production, you broke an all-time record by about $330,000 just from Symmetry. That's how far you broke the record. It's crazy.
Big one.
All-time high, definitely by Quility combined as well, and that was up by almost $400,000. So, well done, everybody. Record breaker in apps as well, and that was it's consistent with the number with the APV that we have. So, wasn't like Cook threw a $500,000 UL in there that took us over the top, as he's been known to do. And then also unique writers was up by an all-time high of about, what is that, Spivey, about 50, 60, something like that, about 60 folks.
Yeah.
So, there's so many good things kind of happening. We're getting ready to go to Knoxville to film the virtual conference, which will be airing, I think, what is that, February 24th? Casey, is that right?
23rd, yep.
23rd, sorry. Don't listen to me. Look at your HQ. But we also just, in a meeting with Mark Palmer yesterday, wanted to kind of pull him in so he can share what he's seeing as well, just by looking at some of the data. So everybody get your Palmer decoder rings on. We've told him to make this really simple. Bigley, what do you say, bud?
What are you seeing, man?
Hey, I'm right here. Nice to see you.
Let's talk first off before you get started, because I know it's going to pop up all in the chat. What's all those trophies you got in your office there, man? What's all that stuff I see in there in the background?
Yeah, I'm gonna need a bigger shelf.
Who gave you those trophies? Those are sweet.
I call it the Palmer Flair.
Yes, that's the war room. There's so many stories there. Give us one.
Ooh, you gotta be careful. Make sure you're outside of your NDAs.
Yeah, exactly. After I told you I'd have to gag you. So we're not going to do that.
Right.
But they were all, the mementos of fun times over the last, 30 years now. So
It's been a good run, Palmer. You don't get halfway there, buddy.
that's one's just starting. So
You don't get the nickname Deal a Day Bud Palmer by not making a lot of deals happen
right.
that you should get trophies for.
Yeah, thank you. So let's get a few more.
Yeah, that's right.
Some in the hopper. You want me to share a little on the on sort of what we're seeing on leads in the data and what's happening?
Yep, what you been seeing?
All right, good. Well, first things first, just for everybody, this is, and I'm looking sideways because I'm looking at my other screen here. is this is preliminary, and I'm going to give you the trends because it was so good that actually I had to go back, right, and look at it. Just like how we broke the record last week by so much that it would make you wonder, right? It's like, holy cow. I'm looking at these numbers and I'm reviewing about 3.8 million leads and about 205,000 apps in the systems, just crunching to make sure that everything's actually adding up properly. But just to give you some sense of the trends, right? As you know, we moved the lead marketplace to value-based pricing, right? That was based on, close ratios, APV, ultimately, like what's the real premium per lead that an agent is earning, and making sure like what they're paying for the leads a multiple of that, right? So we had to do all these analytics to make that work. And here's what we're seeing after 3 months. And this is really just sort of running it through the last quarter of last year, where we implemented Slingshot, right? We started cascading some messaging on the types of leads to use. We started getting into a value-based sort of methodology, the types of leads to buy, started talking about speed to lead and speed to app and the types of things that, the best practices, right? And literally just starting out, I'm just going to give you some trend lines, and this applies for all lead types, right? What we're seeing is average days to app are down from, let's say, a mortgage protection mail-in A lead from 23 to 16 days, right? People are literally getting their money 30% faster and getting those clients served 30% faster. The same holds true on call-in leads from 26 days to 19 days, right? So we're really reducing to the time to app. We are increasing APV per lead, right, by a few dollars. The close rates per leads, as I look at this, mortgage protection A leads, mail-ins up 5%, call-ins up 18, literally an 18% increase on the close rate, right, across the pool. And it goes all the way through. Digital leads, a significant increase. All the B leads, significant increase, including some of these B3s and B4s are being worked much faster, and the close rates are going to the roof. Whatever technology systems approach people are using, it's working. So what we're seeing is PPLs are significantly increased, right? Ranging from a 10% increase on A leads to like a 30% increase on call-in, 25% on digital. This is the increase in the value of the lead in our agents' hands. I'm going to follow up the data, but I think a couple things. One, obviously, kudos to everybody for following what people are saying, just doing it better. B, just, preaching it and getting out there and making people understand it. And for those of you walking the walk, as well as talking the talk, looking at a massive data set, and the data doesn't lie, right? It's showing. And then the second point I think is, like, frankly speaking, if you're not seeing this, right? If this is not what you're seeing day by day, there's like a couple things. One, get with your upline and see what you can do to get some of this action, right? Two, go to HQ, download the lead tear sheets, the research pieces we did, which describe best practices, the way it should be worked, print them out, take them home, read them before you go to bed and put them under your pillow, right? Like, these things are going to help you. Like, if this is the action that's going on, you want a piece of this action, right? Because it's exactly the needs of the business.
So like the lead fairy will come and leave commission under your pillow if you do that.
Well, data shows
we just got a new video idea.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it may not be commission under the pillow, but it's certainly the next best thing, right? People are getting their money faster and they're getting more money from the same leads. That's what's happening.
Yep. Good stuff, man. Transparency. We're going to talk some about that in our filming for virtual conference, but I wanted to, Casey, knowing our background, and we just so happen to have Mr. Chris Cook on with us before we kind of turn him loose. Can you imagine, what was that, 13, 14 years ago, the company that we were working with giving you transparency around the lead program, how valuable the leads were, what the average agent did, what the top agents do, how to get better at those leads. Can you ever imagine that as even a possibility?
You talking to me?
Yeah. Talking to you.
Hey, not even close. We all came from that same company, and it's like, no, it was mysterious about everything. And it was really how they could sell you leads more than how they could help you be profitable. And I just, I'm so grateful because I do come from that environment. It's the reason, some people talk about a quitting phase. I've never had a quitting phase here at Symmetry Financial because I know what the other side of the industry looks like. And you know what I mean? So I've just been grateful. And buddy, I tell you, I just, couldn't be more grateful for the transparency you guys do have about the business. And I'm so thankful you guys decided to be smarter than me and leave in 2009 and form Symmetry.
Well, I appreciate that. It's funny. It's like we've recruited, thousands of people over the last 6 months between, as Quility as a whole. And what we're just hearing time and time again from people coming out there is basically the same thing, Cook, that you're describing, that you went through and that Casey and I went through years ago. It's just no transparency. There's an inherent conflict of interest because somebody's making a huge profit selling leads. They don't give a rip if you're profitable on the business or not, because they're going to make a ton of money just selling the leads. So anyway, I was extremely proud to hear that from Mark Palmer when you were sharing that with us. So I wanted, first you share that with us, then we get the numbers for the week, and it's like, good God, man, you're swimming in good news. So I got to jump. I got to head to Knoxville, but just wanted Mark, you to get on and let people know. And I think the point being, he said it at the end, if you're not experiencing these results, if you're not getting a little bit better, if you're not seeing the same thing as the numbers are showing, then slow down, talk to your manager, talk to your upline. Stop doing whatever it is that you're doing that's not working, and let's try to start doing what is working a little bit better, right? Just a little. The good news is you're putting in the hard work. It's just a little adjustment, just a little tweak, and things can make a huge difference for you. So thank you for that, Cookie, Spivey, Palmer, Williamson, everybody else on the screen, Maximus. We'll see you guys soon.
Cheers, seeing a few.
Yeah.
So
Appreciate
quick on
the Cook
the
organization.
Absolutely. On the transparency piece, let's put a leadership lens on that for a minute, right? Our influence with people is either increasing or decreasing, right? And when we think about, leadership as influence, it's not only influence, but it's an influence process. Influence is power, which is the capacity to have an impact or effect on something. And when we have what we call self-preservation, right? Self-preservation is the overprotection of the things you're afraid of losing, and you lose it quicker. And so we hold on to things and we become self-focused. And those self-preservation heart surgery questions that we ask are, what are you afraid of losing? What are you trying to hide? And what are you trying to prove, and to whom? And when we think about that question, what are you trying to hide? Sometimes we hide the fact that we are just not as confident as we're projecting. Sometimes we hide the fact that, boy, people think I have this skill set, but I really don't. I feel like an imposter, whatever the case is. But transparency liberates an organization. So I loved, Chris, hearing you and Brandon sort of muse on your history, because organizational transparency and creating an environment of what we call psychological safety, where every person here at every level feels confident that you can actually have an open, honest, productive communication. It completely liberates our organization. You're going to feel free, empowered, open to have those conversations. And that's the stepping ground into massively increasing results, because the more open we are, the more transparent communication and data-based decisions we're making, the more you actually can get to the real problem, right? The problem well-defined is the problem half solved. And so if we're not transparent, if we don't have those things at work, we find ourselves holding on and our influence diminishes. So we're at a really, really exciting time in our organization. I think we're experiencing a lot of deep change as an organization, and kudos to everyone, Palmer, especially in terms of being tip of the spear on so much of what we're doing on the data side. And just really appreciate that. Travis's involvement as well there, and everybody that's working hard. So really great stuff to celebrate today.
Great. Appreciate that, Mr. B Dubs. And we'll get started, guys, into the national call of the day. So much good stuff. Mr. Whitaker, are you out there by chance?
I'm here.
What's going on, buddy?
Man, I am excited up here. A little cold. Got my jacket on. But excited to be here.
And we're so grateful for you to be on. And we're going to go through some leaderboards right quick and then kick it over to you. But before we do so, what are we talking about today, Mr. Whitaker?
Man, Spivey, the cool part about being here is, getting to listen to the stories and the people and getting to meet the people. And I hear a lot of people who say, I want to win. I want to win. And a lot of times we look at that as just kind of like a one and done. Right. And so obviously, I know, Spivey, but I happen to believe it's something that winning is something that we're doing day by day, right? Hour by hour, minute by minute basis a lot of times. Right. And so I think the first win that we all have and we have to get to is mastering having that strong will to win. And so our topic today is where there's a will, there's a win. And I brought some of my absolute best people with me. Each of them, I feel like, have mastered that art of willing their way through their own challenges, right? The stuff that comes up for every single person. And they've imposed their will to really completely change their situation. And that's what we're going to be talking about, how they did that.
Man, fired up to hear that, guys. If you have not heard Jeremy speak before, you are in for a treat, guys. He's a dynamic leader, has a dynamic story, leads with passion, and is one of the most prolific field writers that Symmetry has ever seen, and so much to learn. That was all before he even became the type of leader that he is today, which is just phenomenal. So we look forward to that, and stay tuned for that, guys. But for now, I've asked Mr. B-Dubs.
Let's go.
You would come on and share in with me the leaderboards, and we'll go through some announcements right quick. Should celebrate some success.
Yes.
It's been a minute since I've done this, so let's make sure I can nail it.
We should celebrate you too, because we did on the Builders Call. Happy birthday, Spivey, and Spivey's bride, Amy. Birthday day, 40.